One thing queer, one thing queer, one thing queer. Let's get one thing queer. Let's get one thing queer.
Hello and welcome to One Thing Queer. My name's Jenny Baton and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Kelsey Wren and my pronouns are she, her.
Hi, friend.
I almost forgot how to do it again. We just did. I was like, what do I say? Oh my God, this is bad.
Yes, we are a podcast.
We are a podcast. That's what we're doing. We're double recording.
We're double recording.
Yeah.
This is part 2 of Melissa's episode.
Whee!
Welcome.
Hi, hello.
Hold on. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. If I could just be greeted by applause everywhere I went.
Every time you walk in the room.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great. I'd be like, oh, they do love me.
Thank you for sitting down for several hours with us and talking.
You know, like I said, I'm a Leo. I'm listening to myself talk. So it's perfect.
That is. And we were like, say that again because it's
Yeah.
really funny.
Yes. Thank you for remembering.
You're
Yes.
welcome. I was like, I have to sneak it in there somewhere.
There
That
you
is
go.
really how I do
That was organic until I ruined it.
You did not.
Okay. See, now you hate me.
No.
We just talked about this.
I don't. I promise.
Okay.
All right. So we're like,
Yeah.
So this episode, we had candy right now, so we're like
Yeah.
recharged and sugarized. So this episode is we're gonna just kind of banter and talk about politics and how the world's like really sad
Shitty.
right now, and we're all very passionate about humans and compassion.
Rights that humans should have.
So this is like a venting episode
Sure.
to the deterioration of our society.
Yeah, because I think you and I wanted to talk about it, like, right. We actually recorded the day that Roe V. Wade was overturned, and we were, like, having feelings. And
It was a heavy day.
It was a very heavy day, but it was also the day we wanted to record Stonewall. And it was like, well, no, we really want to do this also, and I think it was important that we still did it that day.
Yeah.
But it was still, like, hard, and I think both of us have wanted to get our, like, it's really hard when you're like have a public kind of thing. Like, it's a thing where, like, you don't really want people to come for you, like, for how you feel about things, basically. But I think also we're both in the same realm where, like, we also don't give a fuck. Like, if you
Have no compassion.
if you have no compassion and think we shouldn't have rights, or like anyone shouldn't have rights, then this is not what you should be listening to anyways. So, like, I'm pretty sure,
Or maybe they should, so
I
they could
mean-
learn a thing or two.
that true, yeah. I mean, but I guess don't listen if you're gonna come for us. Like, you can click off if you're,
yeah.
I don't think.
Don't come for Kelsey, come for me. I will fight you.
because I'll be sad.
I will fight you.
Yeah, I don't think I can handle it. I will be in the back. They will come for you. You'll attack, and then I'll be like, "Don't come for Jenny," and then I'll jump in.
I'm an Aries. They should be more scared of you.
Oh
I'm an Aries, so I'm like, "Rah!"
no,
And you're like, "Mer, mer, 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 mer."
terrifying. You're right.
You're a terrifying friend.
Thanks.
Caps.
I appreciate it. But yeah, so I think we all just kind of wanted to get our thoughts out there, feelings.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You touched on like why you had to move up your wedding, and I guess we could kind of like leave off on that.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm getting married next month in a couple of weeks. And that was not the plan originally. I got engaged in February, and originally we were planning a pretty long engagement because I'm in the middle of finishing my bachelor's degree. I just got a new job, and I got a promotion. My partner, my fiance, she also just started school, so it was not a good time to plan a wedding. But Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it was a wake-up call because every right that we thought we had was kind of put on the table, and we had to sit down and really talk about our future and what that would look like. And marriage, I mean, like I mentioned previously, Clarence Thomas, once they overturned Roe v. Wade, was very blatant in his want to come after Obergefell next, which is what gives us the right to federally to, for same-sex marriage. So that was a very hard day of me and my partner just looking at each other and being like, what should we do? Because we both want to get married. Obviously, we're engaged. So, yeah, it was really hard. It was sitting down and being like, when is it feasible for us to do this? And first it was before the part where Clarence Thomas came out, or like his opinion came out, we're like, okay, we'll just move it up to like October. But then once that was announced, we were like, no, we just need to do this. And we weren't planning a big wedding. Originally it was going to be a Vegas wedding in October of next year. And we were just like, no, we cannot get married in any other state but California. At first we had so many ideas of where we wanted to get married. We always knew it was going to be small, but we said like maybe Montana, because I have a thing about Montana. And then we were like, Nevada, let's do Vegas. And then now it's like, no, we can't do it anywhere else, because California at least will always, hopefully, will have the right to keep that here. So we wanted our marriage to be valid. So that's why we decided to move our wedding up. And it's been a mish to try to plan even a small wedding to plan within a month and a half is kind of intense.
Yeah.
But we did it, and now we're going to get married. So,
yeah. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's terrifying to have those thoughts, and like that's like I have family members who are like, oh, you should move out of California because it's costly. And I'm like, I just really don't feel like other places are valuing, I don't know,
Human life.
Yeah, we always talk about like how
Women's life?
Yeah, how like California, we're probably like safe here, like but I mean we're all still fighting because other people are not safe in other states,
Right.
and I do feel semi-safe here, but also like things can happen where like even if California would normally stay how it is,
Yeah.
there can be things put in place where like they can't do anything about it, like
For sure.
things are overturned here as well, so it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's
And it's like not even that. So then we had to do, so we're going to get married, but then we're also having to fill out a power of attorney. We're going to have like a living will. We're going to have to do all of these extra steps to make sure that our rights are not even our rights, but just being very explicit in like who is going to make these decisions for us. And even like eventually kids are going to come into the picture for my partner and I, and that's terrifying too, because California is one of the few states that allows a birth mother and their partner to be on the birth certificate.
Oh, okay.
So that's perfect. That's awesome. But it doesn't guarantee you anything, basically. You don't have to, but it's very, very strongly recommended that you do a second parent adoption, which is when you adopt your own children.
Gotcha.
Basically.
That's crazy.
Which is insane.
Ridiculous. But it's like,
I did not know that.
yeah. So it's like I shouldn't have to think about those things, but unfortunately we are in a position where these are like this is becoming our reality, and if something were to happen, like we need to have those protections in place. But yeah, it just sucks because it's nation, it's federally it's protected, so that means that we could move anywhere regardless of where that state is, and our marriage would be valid and it would be recognized. And when something like this happens, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's like so awful. It's not fair that states have these right basically to take it away.
I think that's kind of what you're saying too, is like why why should you have to stay in a certain state that recognizes it? You should still be able to be free to go to any state you want to go to.
Yeah. And it's like we don't have any plans as of right now, but I know like my partner works for like a corporation, and their corporate offices are on the East Coast, and I think it's either North or South Carolina. And it's like if her career were to take us there, like would we be safe there?
Yeah.
And would our marriage be recognized, and would our kids be okay if that were something that was in the picture?
Yeah.
And it's like we have to make all of these life decisions based on where we live, which is so ridiculous.
I think that's crazy too, is like people don't realize that like you have to do all those extra things for safety, like the power of attorney, like it's
And that's why we fight for rights. It also brings me back to like Handmaid's Tale, where they like divide both moms.
yeah
I don't remember the characters' names.
yeah
But, yeah.
I stopped watching because it was very triggering at the beginning of beginning of the pandemic. It was like hella triggering, and I was already everybody, I'm sure we were all scared and like losing it, and that show came out. I think the newest season came out and I was like, I can't, like I just can't. And even now, like
Yeah.
it's
Very triggering right now.
yeah, I'm much more in a place of not wanting to further trigger myself when the
Yeah.
real world's already scary enough as it is. So I don't know. It's frustrating. It feels like things are so backwards and we're going back in time, and it's wild. I think we could speak on the last administration that like allowed a lot of this bigotry and a lot of people's
they packed the court very, very deliberately.
inside thoughts to come to be said out loud. Like I'm sure you guys have seen too, where a lot of the times where people are like they're saying the quiet part out loud now, and it's like really
Blatant.
it's not even like
They think it's okay now.
it's wild. It's wild, and like I really don't care if you don't think it contributed to it, but the last administration really did contribute to it. And I think like too, what people don't understand is even with this current administration, like, because they're like, people will say like, oh well, you voted for Biden now, and it's like, well yeah, it was this or dictatorship. It's funny because I remember when Trump got elected, I literally looked at my mom and I was upset, and she was like what, like, and I was like, it literally feels like Hitler was just elected, and she's like, that's dramatic. And I'm like, no, like you don't get it. Like it really feels that way. Like I was like in high school, I was like a huge World War II buff. Like I read everything I could possibly get my hands on. I don't know, just because I couldn't understand how people stood by and didn't do anything.
But this is how. It's literally what we're living right now.
Exactly. And it's wild. And like just to see like a lot of the similarities in the way that
history repeating itself.
Yes. And like a lot of the similarities in the way that propaganda is done too, and certain events that have happened that can turn things in the same way. Like it just feels all too, not that I lived through that previously, but from reading everything, from firsthand accounts of people who were there, it feels a little too familiar.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the last administration definitely emboldened their audience to say the quiet parts out loud. And I remember the night that Trump got elected, and it was like another 9/11 for me. Where I'm not comparing like the scope, obviously. I'm comparing the scope of it, like how it felt monumental to our like country,
Our society,
where both of those things like ushered in like such negativity and such change.
That's what I think too, is finally like all the people who are like, oh, what are you scared of? I'm like, this is why, like this is why we were afraid, because of the way he would pack the cords. Like, I mean, we can talk about the actual like the Supreme Court, like who they are, who their affiliations are. Like there's a lot of when they took their oath about letting their religious purview influence how they vote on things.
Right.
That's what there it is. It's coming to fruition, as
that shouldn't be the case.
It's
you should be atheist if you want to be on the Supreme Court, in my opinion.
That's it too. And I don't even care if you believe in Sky Daddy, but Sky Daddy shouldn't.
Sky Daddy?
Yeah, that's what they call him.
I've never heard of that.
It's Sky Daddy shouldn't influence how I live, because I don't believe in him. Like I do not believe, and it's just wild. Like even for this, like even for people, I don't want to use their religion, but for Jewish people or for people of different religions who are living in this country, it should not affect them. This should not. That explicitly goes against their religion. And if we're gonna be so about this religion, then it needs to be about everybody's religion.
Right. Exactly.
That's the whole point of keeping it separate. So it's about no one's religion.
Yeah, like I know in Judaism, like a person's life comes before anything else.
Yes.
So like an abortion is completely okay in their religion, because it not only is it like body autonomy, obviously, but if it's like endangers the person carrying, then like of course like anything must be done in order to preserve that person's life. And I'm like, okay, so what about them? Do we not?
That makes no sense to me.
That's what I think is so frustrating too, is because we're talking about bodily autonomy here, and like if a fetus is autonomous, then take it out and let it live on its own. But it's not. That's the point.
Like I'm like, it can live outside of me.
If it's so autonomous, take it out and let it be on its own and work on its own. Like it's so frustrating, and there's some like disconnect with the logic here. Like even in like, okay, so like I'm a firm believer in that if you don't like something, you study it to learn why you don't like it. I'm just not gonna not like anything just because. I'm gonna learn why I don't like it. And like I was in like a Christian school in high school, like, and like there's a lot of things in the Bible that don't make sense to me. Hence why I don't
Same.
believe in it. There's even what are they called? Discrepancies in how some people interpret it. That's what's frustrating. And it's like, you guys are not even all reading from the same spot.
Yeah.
It's all different. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I could go on forever.
Right. Yeah, it's just so annoying. I just can't fathom caring. I don't care if you get an abortion.
Yeah.
Like, I do not care.
Why would I care? Exactly. Why is it? It has nothing to do with me.
Nope, nothing to do with me.
It's
Like,
that person's life.
yeah, like, it's your body. And also, the lack of sexual education
Yeah.
in this country is astonishing because every person that is like pro-life completely ignores how pregnancy
Yeah.
can destroy your body. And I'm not talking about like your expanding belly or like
The physical
the
aspect.
physical aspect of it. I'm talking about all the complications that come along with it. I'm talking about like people lose their teeth.
Yeah.
People can go blind.
Yeah.
It affects every single part of your body. And if you could guarantee a woman, not even, I don't care. I don't care. If you could guarantee a woman's health and that they would carry to term, I would still want the option to abort because you cannot force anybody into being a mother.
And
Like,
not
you cannot.
And not only that, there's a lot of women who are pregnant and like they're happy to be pregnant. They want that child and
Yeah.
they still are like, this is fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, so imagine it's hard and you don't want this.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Or even like clinical, like ectopic pregnancies,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
I've known people that have had those and like what? Okay, so carry to term and
You
then
can't.
you
You
both die?
explode? Yeah.
Or like that doesn't make any sense to me. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like fuck your life basically is what society is saying.
The same thing too, like that too, and like for like there's not even any exception in my mind. You should be
Yeah.
able to do whatever you want. I don't care if you've had 50 of them. I don't care if it's your form
Yeah.
of birth control. I don't fucking care.
Me neither.
It's nothing to do with me. It's not my I kind of used the word earlier in your last episode talking about invasive. Like I've always. For me, like organized religion is so invasive of other people's lives
Right.
that that's what I don't like. Like
Yep.
I don't care what you do as long as things are consensual and safe.
Yeah.
I mean, by all means, have at it, whatever
Right.
you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, and I mean, consensual, safe, and like age appropriate. It's just so invasive in how we talk about those things. And now, I mean, we're getting into scarier territory where like the possibility of having to take like pregnancy tests before you cross state lines and shit
Yeah.
like that. Like, it's fucking wide. I don't see, I don't know. I don't see how anybody, even like Republican women, I don't see how any of that you could look at that and be like, oh yeah, this sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, you're not, just because you voted for it, you're not safe from it.
Right. No.
It affects you too.
No, for sure. And it
Yeah.
affects everybody. And like, the hypocrisy is also like so blatant because abortion will always be available to those who have the resources for it.
Yeah.
Always. Like, people cannot travel thousands of miles, pay for a hotel, pay for a flight, pay for gas, whatever the case may be, in order to have an abortion. But those people with resources
Yeah, rich
will
people
always
can.
have
That right.
access to abortion. And it's just like, it's unfair and it's ridiculous.
Unfathomable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think we went like some steps forward when Obama was elected and then we went like 10, 15 years back when Trump got
and
elected.
as someone, I studied social work for a little bit before I changed my major, but there are no supports in place for people who are pregnant and want their kids. So there is no support for those people. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, put them up for adoption. That's not what you think it is.
Why do we have 400 bazillion kids in adoption in in those agencies now if that's the answer?
Yeah, it's not the answer.
It's not.
And they outgrow the system.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there is no support for those children after, like, once you've had them. And unless you, it's also, I can't imagine how emotionally hard it is to have a child that you do not want. And okay, you give it up for adoption, and then you have to vet the person that you're going to give it to, or you're going to abandon it at whatever the safe houses are or whatever. But it's like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, if I don't want to be pregnant, I shouldn't be forced to be pregnant.
Well, yeah, there's, I mean, like, if you're a parent and your child needs a kidney, you cannot be forced to give that child a kidney.
Right.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any
Yeah.
I mean, not that we should change that, but I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Even a dead body.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Right.
If I die,
Yeah, you will have more rights
I
over
will
your
have more
insides.
rights over my insides than I do now as like a
Yeah.
living person, which is so ridiculous. I cannot donate my organs without
Yeah, no one can force you to do
signing
that.
it. It's like signing
Yeah.
something
It's-
saying, yes, it's okay for you to take these from me.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
And
and even like we don't have any social programs to help
No.
anything like that. And like, I mean, we could get into the even more legalities of it. Like, so okay, so if life begins at conception, supposedly,
yeah.
why? I mean, are we taking life insurance policies out on cells? Are
Yeah,
we?
we should.
Does child support start? 9 months in when you're just a week
Yeah.
after that condom broke. Like,
Yeah.
that's the frustrating thing too, is that people they're like, just keep your legs closed. Like, it's
And
it's
pregnancy is not a punishment
Yes.
for having sex. I am so
Yes.
sorry that some of you think that.
yeah.
It's not.
And like,
Birth control fails. I have known plenty of women who have had multiple children
Yes.
on birth control.
exactly. It's like they're blind to that. And like, I don't know if everybody knows, but a lot of men don't listen to no.
Yeah.
Like, hello, it's not exactly our choice sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. And even if you take those precautions, like, things happen.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Exactly.
It's
and,
so frustrating.
and the thing is that I think the most frustrating part is that that the people making these decisions, a lot of them are ignorant. I'm not going to say that everyone's like very like well versed in like sexual education.
Absolutely.
Like,
That's a safe assumption.
yeah. But I know that this is with malicious intent.
Yes.
Oh,
And that's the
Absolutely.
part that is
That's the frustrating
most
part.
infuriating part is like they know that I think they did a poll and it's like 78% of women
Yeah.
are in support of abortion. Or some please don't quote me.
Yeah.
I'm fudging numbers right now. But I know that the
But it's like
percentage
70%
was high.
of the population is in favor of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. And I'm just like, I do not care how old you are. These judges, I don't care how old they are. I don't care that they're fossils. They know how this is going to affect women
Yes.
and other, people who can get pregnant. They know, and they do not care because they know that they are catering to a very specific group of
Yes.
people. And I'm just like, you are not the voice of all of America. You are choosing to be the voice of like 20% of people.
Yeah, that's what's terrifying is like the malicious intent behind it is
Yeah.
that like, okay, you're like really trying to hurt people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the
And what's
shitty part.
most frustrating is that they try to flip it and say, no, like we care for the life
Yeah.
and stuff. You don't give a
Yeah.
fuck for the life when it's
Yeah.
born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And like, let's be real, you don't care if they're black and brown babies. And it's like, what the fuck? Like,
not unless they're working for you.
yes, it's
Yeah.
like you don't care about these lives. Like, it's
It's
so
just
frustrating.
another way to keep people down because kids are very expensive.
Oh,
Childcare is ridiculous in this country. I do not have children, but I have friends and family members who have children, and if their childcare is equally, if not more expensive than a mortgage. And it's like,
insane.
who can afford that?
Well, we've talked about it too. Is like, I don't know, if we say I don't know all the time, but like, I don't feel like either of us have the emotional capacity nor the money to take care of a child.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
they're so costly, and like, I don't know. I don't think that the joy would outweigh the money spent,
Yeah.
which sounds awful, but like, I also don't. If I'm gonna have a child, I want it to have the best of everything.
Right.
Like, whatever, like any parent would or should,
Yeah.
the best of everything. So if I'm gonna bring this child in to struggle alongside me,
Right.
that sounds like an awful decision.
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
do you build wealth when poor people cannot save money? Like, this is something that's been commonly misunderstood. People think that they're poor because they are bad with money or that they make bad choices or that they, any whatever excuse. But the thing is that poor people are not, impoverished people are not poor because they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things that keep them
Yes.
subjugated in these positions, and one of those is lack of birth control, lack of access to abortion, lack of access to sexual education, and it's like, this is just another barrier, and it's just another way to keep those people subjugated. And it creates this cycle, because how do you catch up
Yeah.
if
I feel
don't
like
get a break?
the intent is to,
Yeah.
if not maintain people in the poverty level, if not making it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
for sure.
create more.
Creating
Yeah,
more. It's a system that sets you up to fail.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like setting in place, because it's like a pyramid scheme being
Yeah.
in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel it, like, like we feel it here. We've been lucky enough to have some generational wealth, and like my parents helped with the house, and I know we're like super fortunate for that.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate their, doing that, and they were able to do that because they had that.
Right.
And that's how that works.
Yeah.
That's why it's called generational.
Yeah, exactly.
And even so, it's still like, it's a struggle. And I know people will say, oh, just move out of California. But like,
You cannot just move.
Yes.
Also, as someone who, I moved to Texas when I was 15, and I lived there up until I was 21, and I, for a long time, planned on moving back. I do not want to make decisions based on affordability.
Yeah.
Or, based on where I have rights. I am so sorry. That is so unfair.
yeah.
And also, moving is not inexpensive. I could not have moved back had I not moved back with my mom, and had I not had family, brothers here ready to take us in to their home. Like,
Yeah.
moving is not, none of y'all moved, is my question.
It's
have none of
expensive.
y'all moved states?
Yeah.
Because it's not cheap. And the answer isn't just move out of a red
No.
state. Like, how about the people that have to stay there because
Of
they can't
family.
afford it, or family, or what have you? It's like, that's not fair to them. I hate that more than anything.
That's kind of how I feel too about, like, well, when people say like, oh, well, you're in California, why do you care? Because there's people out there who don't have that option.
Yeah.
They're stuck in there, and by no fault of their own, they're stuck in a state that's a red state, or a state that's opposing any of the, or that's for this ban and stuff like that. Like,
And that's just as devastating.
yeah, and it's even more awful. Like, they have no choice, and they were born there from where their parents, being there. It's just so, it's frustrating, and with the amount of lack of gun control laws and everything too, it's not about saving kids.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
what's
about
so
saving
frustrating.
kids. And it's like, who would want to have kids with the gun laws too?
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like,
It's terrifying.
I'm like, for the longest time, I was like, yeah, I think I want kids. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I do not want kids because that's fucking scary. Like,
Yeah.
the world we live in is fucking so scary.
Yeah.
And there's just so many reasons not to have them. So, like,
That's what I think too, is anybody who's like, oh, well, like, if you're being over dramatic, like, where are you living? Like, what do you watch? What cloud are you on? Because that's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's not, and I know that I have like a privilege with like being with Bernie, is that like I can go out and be safe. And because we live in California, like, I can go out and be safe. But if I were to visit family in other states that are like red states, I would have the privilege of having him next to me, so I would be safe. And that's I mean, I'm happy I have that, but that's also sucky. Like, that's sucky that has to be a thing. Like, and it's something that comes into my mind when, we talk about possibly visiting family members. Like, I don't know if I want to go alone, because what if somebody gets a hint? What if somebody makes an offhanded comment like, Kelsey has a podcast. Oh yeah, what's your podcast about? And I'm alone. Like,
It's scary.
That's scary too. Like,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. The other states don't seem so appealing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this country doesn't seem appealing.
Right.
If I'm being honest with you.
It's so frustrating. Even that too, like healthcare. Like, we could talk in like universal healthcare. Like, it's so hard that, like, I don't know, 30 of like the civilized countries on the world have figured it out, except for us.
They
like,
sure have.
it's really frustrating.
Mexico has figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the whole thing too, like, because I think the reason that people freak out too, because they're like, oh, we're going to pay more taxes. But a lot of the reason that we have trouble thinking about paying about quote unquote more taxes as Americans is because we don't see our tax dollars at work. And if we were to see something like that, you wouldn't mind paying more, or it would be paying the same as long as they go to the correct
Yeah.
places. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll pay a little bit more so we could have universal so like
yeah.
so and so down the lane doesn't have to like work on a broken leg because they
Yeah.
can't afford to take work off. Like that works for me.
Yeah, I've always had minimum wage jobs, like ever since, for as long as I've been a working person. And just very recently did I get a new job where I'm still not paid very much, like not at all. I have $3, but they do offer free healthcare,
That's good.
which is like
Very
life
nice.
changing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and
It's
it's
just
so like it should be this easy for everybody.
and it's so awful that your healthcare is tied to your work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
It shouldn't have to be that.
Yeah,
shouldn't
I'm like,
have
I
to be
can
that
never
way.
leave this job.
Yeah.
they're like, here, we're gonna pay you this much, but you have free healthcare.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes you want to stay because of that
Yeah.
incentive, because healthcare is so expensive. But at the same time,
I mean,
like,
I do really enjoy my job, but I can never leave.
Yeah.
Because the benefits are just too good.
Yeah.
My partner has really good healthcare, and like her company covers like IVF for like same-sex
Oh, okay.
couples, and they cover like a lot of things like that.
That's amazing.
But it's like that's the only reason why it's even feasible for her and I to have children.
Yeah.
Like
because otherwise it would be like,
Yeah.
you want a kid? You gotta come up with $10,000 to $20,000.
That's it too. That's part of the like abortion conversation too. Is that IVF? I mean, there's times they throw away cells, fetuses, whatever they are at that point. And like, is that now a crime? What
I
about?
have no idea. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Because they have like just frozen embryos.
Yeah.
Like ready-made babies, just ready to be implanted.
It doesn't like. I don't understand. How does that make sense in the
Makes no sense.
in your Sky Daddy's book?
Yeah, and like it's very telling when people have like I've just been very aware of who isn't talking about it all, and I'm just like I know that y'all have benefited from this.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'm like it's very telling.
I too
Like
Same.
have a lot of
like,
people
I
in my
see
life.
Same. Or people who are like, but the babies. I'm like,
You don't really.
I mean, you didn't care when yours happened.
yeah.
So how very interesting. But that's the same thing too. It's we were talking about that like the people who can afford it or have access will always be able to
Yeah.
get it, and they'll also look down at other people getting it at the same time,
Yeah.
and that's
Even more disgusting.
it's gross.
Yeah, I've been hearing so much on TikTok a lot of like abortion providers or people who are nurses and labor delivery or like Planned Parenthoods or abortion like providers, and they were talking how every single person who's come in has always been, not every single person, but like a majority of people who come in and get abortions are pro-life.
Yeah.
And they're like, I just never thought I would need it. And
Yeah,
like,
no shit.
I would never do this, but I just can't right now. And it's like, they will go blue in the face just
Yeah.
talking about all the excuses why it's okay for them to do it.
The
But-
irony.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
Yeah. I could never dream of being so invasive into somebody else's life like that.
neither.
Like I've never. I
can't
don't.
I don't
imagine
care.
caring.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not.
Besides, like, do you
doesn't-
need a ride?
Like, are you safe afterward? That's about it.
Like, do you need
Other-
a snack?
Other than that, I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, why are you bothering me with this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's none of my business.
Like, and everybody knows a person who has had an abortion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't know, it's because you either weren't a safe person
Or-
to tell.
Or you had one.
Yeah. Or you know the other person in that
Yeah.
who forced their partner to have one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, or their not partner or their other, I don't know,
Yeah.
sexual partner, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you know that. I mean, that's the scary malicious intent is that it's like rules for thee, but not, or rules for me, but not for thee.
I can't stand
It's,
the hypocrisy
Yeah.
behind everything.
yeah.
The hypocrisy is unfathomable.
Well, even that too is that like this is a gateway into other privacy laws. Like, I mean, like I don't think people realize the rabbit hole of privacy laws that are tied to that, and that's like, it's like the privacy between a married couple to like buy condoms and shit like that,
Yes.
like, or the privacy to watch porn.
So,
like,
so Clarence Thomas, when in his opinion, besides Obergefell, I'm forgetting the names, but the other two laws that he was like, we should revisit was the right to contraceptives
Yeah.
and same sex or sodomy laws, which are like you can't have sex with your same-sex partner.
Yeah.
That
So,
is ridiculous and so fucking scary.
So this just opens a door for the law to come into your bedroom and try to control what happens.
Yeah,
and in Texas, the decision to remove to take away the criminal punishment for sodomy laws was in 2003.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I was a full-on teenager.
Yeah.
In 2003.
Wow.
And that's when Texas decided that they would, and that was the court, that was the decision that made it to where sodomy laws were no longer like punishable by law. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's very recent.
That's very recent.
Well, also, I'm like, straight people, y'all, you want to like be. It's against the law to watch porn with your partner, or like to have condoms, or to buy birth control. Like, it's not even just like, it's about everyone. That's what's so frustrating when people are like, oh, it doesn't affect me, so I don't really. But like,
yet
you're
literally handing over your rights by like not caring over the people that or situations that don't affect you at the time.
Mm-hmm. There's a quote, I can't remember who said it, and I can't remember who said it, but it's basically like, oh, they came for this group and I didn't care, so I didn't say anything, and it wasn't me, so I didn't say anything, and they came for this group and it wasn't me, so I didn't say anything, and then they came for this group and it wasn't me, so I didn't say anything, but now they're coming for me and nobody's left to help. And it's like, that's exactly what's happening.
And the irony, it's like the people that are pro-life are the first people to be like, these are my rights. Mm-hmm. They're the first people to like talk about their rights because they're in America, and they're literally like handing over rights. It makes no sense.
I hate even the term for like pro-life. Like, it's forced birth, because like
you're pro-birth,
a lot of the same people who are pro-life are pro-death penalty, and it's
where is the sanctity of life?
I do not understand.
Yeah, and I don't.
I'm scratching my head.
It's
in confusion. That's I just don't. That's a lot of the problem too. When you're talking with these people, I'm like, do you really, really believe this, or are you just trying to be inflammatory? Do you have a malicious intent?
Inflammatory. I love that.
Me and my big words. Stop it. But like, yes, or is it, there's sometimes where I want to sit down with people and just be like, do you really believe this? Or do you have a need to be a contrarian? Or
I hate contrarians.
Like, because I have people in my own family who there's sometimes where I'm like, if I can get them at a level like one-on-one, like, and like really talk, like, they'll like disavow everything that they say publicly. And
I
like,
commend you for that. I have no patience. I will not sit down and talk with you about our differing opinions. I do not give a shit. I'm so sorry.
I don't anymore. It depends on who it is. There's some people where I haven't, like, but there's some, it depends on how their reaction to it. Because if they're going to sit and have a civilized conversation, then we can talk. We can also.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah.
If you want some sort of movement.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just like be like, no, fuck you, and then that ends. Like, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, but if they're gonna yell at the first chance of me saying anything, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna sit here and yell with you, because I'll yell louder and it'll be meaner. And you won't like it.
I just, like, I remember what a conversation I was having. It wasn't, it was just like a friend of a friend, and I don't remember what we were talking about. But they were just like, I can't believe that you feel that way. I think we were talking about how I'm like, I have no interest in being friends with people who are Trump supporters.
Yeah,
like, I will
same.
not listen to your side of the story. Like, I just do not care. Like, you will never be a friend, because it's like, it's the difference in morality. Like, it's not even just politics. It's just like your morals are very different than mine. And he's like, I can't believe that. And I was like, you should. I was like, I am like Hispanic. I'm gay, like first generation. I was like, I think we're talking about immigration or something like that, because I'm like, everyone should just be given automatic citizenship. Like, I am not. Like, I am pro all of that stuff. And he was like, I can't believe it. If there's no like laws, if there's no regulation, then everyone's gonna take advantage of it. And I'm like, y'all don't even know like how hard these things are. And I'm just like, I will not. I have no patience for it. Like,
I mean, there's certain people that I feel the same way. Like I have people in my life like that are really close to me, like siblings, and like we have completely difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And we have gone through having conversations, having arguments, stop talking to each other, blocking each other. I've been through all of that. And there's no getting through to that person.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, okay, there's no getting through to you, and you're not going to allow me to speak. You're not giving me the same respect I'm trying to give you. And you're not actually listening to me. I'm listening to you,
Yeah.
but you're not listening to me, then I won't bother.
Yeah.
But if there's someone that's willing to have a conversation and willing to try to understand me and
Yeah.
vice versa, then I think that is important to be able to talk about that with someone if it's going to be a mutual thing.
That's where
Yes.
my fiery side comes out. I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no patience.
Don't get me wrong, too. It's
walk
not.
you through
Yeah.
how to be a good. Well, I think that's the thing. It's like I can argue like difference of opinion, but when it's like morality, like
yeah.
there's
Yeah,
no
we-
way that we're gonna be having a conversation. Like I don't care.
We can disagree on pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I
we're-
still
Which
love
is
it.
disgusting, by the way. And all of y'all are heathens. And Sky Daddy does not approve of pineapple on pizza.
yeah, we can disagree on that, but when it's about the rights of other humans, I can't disagree. I've always said too,
Yeah.
like it's like I'm saying, don't get me wrong, like that's not reserved for everybody. That's for very specific people who I would like to keep in my life.
Right.
Because they are very close. And we have a mutual understanding.
Right.
That's not for everybody.
Boundaries.
We have boundaries. That's not even for even other people who are similar levels in my life.
Yeah.
Some people I'm just like, you have shown time and time again you're not even willing to listen, so I'm not even
Right.
I'm not gonna waste my breath. And even like, but that's only for those people. Like
Yeah.
anybody I meet out in the wild and I notice that, it's immediate. I'm not
That's
talking
true,
to you
yeah.
because I don't think people want to listen. I'm okay to have a difference of opinion. And like I've always said, like, I don't need you to believe that everything I believe, because I know there's things we can get into in a second since this is the episode for it. There's things that I think that should happen that I know that other people are like, that's fucking crazy. I just need you to also, like, what I need is for you to give a shit about people and give a shit about circumstances that you may never experience.
Right.
That's all I
Yes.
really care about. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear like, oh, it seems really hard because now I'm experiencing it. Well, yeah, no shit. Other
Yeah.
people experience this all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you're just so happen to get a taste of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Empathy.
really,
just a little bit.
it's
A
really not that.
smidgen of empathy.
And to me, I don't want you in my life if you have no empathy, because why would you give a shit about anything I have to say?
Absolutely.
Like, what?
It's simple.
It's really,
yeah.
I don't understand how people are like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Well, to me, a lot of the time people are like, oh, politics doesn't matter. It's because they're on the other side who's taking things away
Yeah.
and they don't really fucking care.
Yeah.
It's not affecting them. So that's why they have that thought. But like, I believe in, like, we should, there's other countries, I don't know if it's implemented, but like, have you ever heard of UBI?
Yes, universal basic income.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing plan for America. Basically what it is, it's whatever basic income the country decides on, whether for each person, it's universal basic income. And no matter whether you work or not, you get paid that. So that if you want to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever, you can do that.
Yeah.
If you want to be a stay-at-home mom and go get a separate job, to make more money, you can do that.
You're guaranteed.
It's guaranteed. So say it's like
survival,
2,000. Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Say it's $2,000 a month, and basically the cost of living is based off of everybody
Yeah.
getting $2,000 a month. And like, that's so anybody who doesn't work, if it's a person with however many kids and they need to stay home with their kids, they can still provide for those kids, because I don't think we should have to pay for like basic necessities.
Right. Same.
And if we all like got that same amount, we'd all be on a level playing field. And if
Yeah.
you want to excel in life and do more than that, you go
can.
right. But if you want to just be at home,
And
you can also do that.
Also, I think Americans have a very backwards idea that UBI would make people lazy.
Yeah.
Which is shown to not be true.
Exactly.
People want to work when they know that they will have enough money to
Yes.
survive.
Yes.
Because no one wants, in California, I think they made a study and you have to be making like $30 or something to be able to afford
Yeah.
like
the basic.
Well, none
like
of
a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
There is no state in the United States where you can get paid minimum wage and afford a 1-bedroom apartment.
which is because that's what minimum wage is supposed to be.
Yes.
Isn't that
Yeah.
wild?
So like there's none. And we can't even, let's not even talk about the rise of criminalization of homelessness, because
Yes.
that is another topic completely.
yes, that
But
too.
yes, yeah, UBI would be perfect.
Yes,
and I
that would be a solution also to homelessness. Like,
Yeah.
It
or
makes no sense that we're in America and there's people dying of
Yes.
being hungry
Yeah.
out, like, in the outside.
I know, and we always heard growing up, oh, there's starving kids in Africa. Like,
They're
They're starving
fucking
people
here.
down the street.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of UBI, and people are like, oh, how would we pay for it? Taxes. How
Yeah.
we would normally, how we
for
pay
it.
for everything else, basically.
Let's fucking stop paying so much in cops
into
retirement.
the military industrial complex.
And the military. How about we do that and distribute our money the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
You know what's funny too is I read, even going into that like police state and like in the military, is that like no other country has a base here. We have bases in other countries.
Oh yeah.
That's bananas to me. Like it's a little, makes us a little bit of a military complex, and that's
Yeah.
I just don't understand how that's
We did it because we have power and
Yeah.
weapons, and we basically coerced those countries into letting us.
It's
have
wild.
That.
I feel
That was
like-
never given to us.
yeah,
On good faith. That was always forced from other countries.
insane.
America has like small dick energy in my in my
No,
in my
for
mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
For
Sky Daddy with small dick energy.
Literally, it's like that big ass fucking monster truck with the balls in the back. That's what America is to me.
Yeah.
At the moment.
and that's
Yeah.
and it's so funny that you say that because American flags are such a like red flag for me now. Like,
Yes.
if I
Oh,
see
yeah.
you
They're
flying-
triggered.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, if I see you flying an American flag, I'm like,
It looks like a Confederate flag. That's
Yeah.
it's
Now
the
it
new.
does.
It's the new.
Yeah.
I same thing. I'm like, I'm like a little.
Yeah.
I kind of side eyed you a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm like,
for sure.
and like, you can also love living here and want to see it change. Like, and also I don't think you need to fly flags to care about
No,
that too. So like,
For sure.
it's just like. See, but like that, like UBI, I know when I explain that to somebody, they're like, what? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I don't need you to believe in UBI. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
But I don't need you to do that.
Yeah.
But I just need you to like give a shit and have some empathy.
Yeah.
Like, because why would I expect you to care about me if you have no fucking
There's
empathy?
a lot of America is very individualistic in the sense that the way that we like feel about each other.
Yep.
I don't count us in that obviously, but like as a whole,
Yeah.
like the culture of the country is very individualistic.
If it's not
and
happening to me, I
that's-
don't care.
Yep.
and that's why they frown upon universal health care and UBI and like housing vouchers and things like that is because, well, if it's like the whole, I don't know how like in tune you are with like the whole student loan debacle where like they're wanting to forgive it.
Yeah.
The older people who've already paid off their loans, they're like, well, I didn't get that, so you shouldn't have to either.
It's wild. Like,
and I'm just like,
I don't have them either, but I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how I cannot fathom being like, if I couldn't have this, then you can't have it either. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want better
Yes.
for your children?
It's-
and like, I'm sorry that you paid for your college with
Yeah.
$3.
Yes.
Like, I am so envious. My financial aid ran out this semester, and I'm taking 4 classes, and that's $3,800
Wow.
for one semester.
That's ridiculous.
So I've had to get a loan and, you know, to pay for my classes.
Yeah.
And it's my last semester. I'm like, y'all couldn't give me one more thing, but
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
I
ridiculous.
refrain. But
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, that
Kind of.
if I have to take out a loan to pay that, right? Whatever. But I cannot imagine me being like, well, I have to pay my $3,000 so no one else should also
Yeah.
have that right.
Yeah.
Where's your compassion?
I definitely, and like we were talking about, how you're saying there's studies that saying like, because people are like, oh, everybody's gonna be lazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we will have more. Like, I think we will thrive more. There will be more people who actually want to have the time and the brain space to do better things.
Yeah.
Like in science, math, healthcare, shit like that. So they won't be so bogged down about just trying to live.
Yeah.
Our brains will be free to do more things.
Yeah.
And like you also as even as a family, like, because if one person is struggling, hopefully the rest of the family's helping.
For sure.
So it frees up the rest of everybody else to also thrive and
Yeah.
do. That's what I was saying is that the UBI, it would also, if you want to make more, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
If you want to live off your minimum wage,
People
that's
are like,
fine.
capitalism breeds innovation. Shut the fuck up. No, it does
don't
not.
know.
Yeah. I
And
don't
why
think
do
so.
we have to work to death?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
That is also
like,
a very American.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
thing.
don't like. Yes, like I mean, I'm the first like person to say like I'm a workaholic and I love to work, but I'm like, why the fuck do I have to in order to survive?
Yeah.
Like that to me is like,
I've always heard that parents being like, oh, well, I used to work 13, 14. I'm like, that sucks.
That's not.
I'm sorry for you.
Like, it breaks my heart. Like, my mom is about to turn 60 and like she works at a retirement community and like she is housekeeping and like it breaks my heart that like she's like in almost her 60s and she's still doing that. The fact that like she's looking forward to her retirements like so much because she's worked since she was 8 years old. Like that is not okay.
I don't get the need to want to because you didn't get something, you want to take it away from somebody else when you might not have needed it in the first place.
Exactly.
Like it didn't affect you. So there's a lot of like, even I don't even want to say her name, but the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court who is tied to religious fanaticism. I don't even know if anybody knows that she's tied to, I can't even think of the name of it. Anyways, but she's like opening the doors for herself and closing them behind her.
Yeah.
Anybody in those positions who want to open the doors for themselves and close the door behind them for anybody coming up behind them.
Yeah.
It sucks. And I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
It's
But
devastating.
again, I don't need you to believe in UBI.
Yeah.
I just need you to give a shit about it.
Yeah. Just give a shit about people. That's what this episode's about. Have compassion.
Have compassion, yeah. But I don't know. Well, I guess hope you guys
Enjoyed our
little rant.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah, let us know how you feel also.
Yeah.
But I guess we're gonna wrap it up and do the socials.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So please follow us on Instagram. It's One Thing Queer, and my personal Instagram is SpexRayX.
And my personal Instagram is at Jenny Lynn Bouton. And if you would like to follow us on TikTok, we are at One Thing Queer Podcast on there. And if you would like to email us with your story, if you would like advice, feel free to email us at onethingqueer@gmail.com.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes,
Of
thank you
course.
so
It's
much.
been really fun.
Yeah.
And share your socials.
Oh, yes. My Instagram is at Mel Midway.
Yes.
All right.
All right. I guess that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of One Thing Queer. Thank you again, Melissa, for having us, for coming on. Love you.
It's my podcast now.
Thanks for having us.
Really happy to be here.
Honor. It's an honor. All right, y'all.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Graphics by BexUniverse.co. Music by Jacody.